Hello, I'm Tom Meeks, and this is 3D Design for Fun and Life, featuring Moment of Inspiration, using the uniquely easy noun and verb method.
This session is Polygon Noun Group.
When we say that we use a noun and verb method, we mean that we combine objects, nouns, with actions, verbs, to make new 2D or 3D nouns. The first menu pad contains all of the nouns we use in Moment of Inspiration. The first tab on menu pad 1 is labeled Draw Curve. This is where we find our 2D nouns. If we click on Draw Curve, the menu pad expands to reveal buttons for accessing 8 2D drawing groups. Group 4 is Polygon. There are 3 methods for creating polygons: center polygon, edge polygon, and star polygon. With the star polygon, you have the option of either automatic or custom shapes. The center polygon method. When we click on the Center Polygon Method button, we see that there is an option that allows us to select the number of sides for the polygon. We'll choose 6 sides. And the prompt reads, Pick Center Point. We can select any point in the view window, and the prompt changes to Pick Radius Point. If the circumscribed option is unchecked, the radius point is determined by an apex point of the polygon. If circumscribed is checked, the radius is determined by the midpoint of a side. There are no text boxes in the polygon dialog that allow us to enter a precise size. However, we can enter a radius in the distance text box at the bottom of the center of the screen. Another way to ensure that we obtain an accurate size when creating a polygon is to first create a circle as a guide. We can use the circumscribed option if we need to create a polygon with an opening of a certain size. Edge Polygon Method. When we click on the Edge Polygon Method button, we see that we can select the number of sides we would like to create, and the prompt reads Pick Start of Edge. When the start point is selected, the prompt changes to Pick End of Edge. The start point will determine the orientation of the final polygon, but this can be changed by checking the Flip option. The star polygon method. The star polygon method is similar to the center polygon method in that the first thing we're asked to do is to pick center point. When we click to select the center point, the prompt reads Pick Star Point. What happens next depends on the selection of the Style Value dropdown. The default value of style is Auto. And if that's selected, the star is created with the second mouse click. But if we select Custom as our style value, the second click will determine the first star point distance, and we're asked to pick a second star point. We can move inside or outside of the first star point distance. The star polygon is clearly one of the most popular of the nouns among our students over the years. And one of the reasons for that popularity is the 2-point option when applying the extrude verb. Very cool. Polygons can really be fun to work with. Let's draw a polygon here, just a regular polygon, center polygon, 5 sides. we'll click on the origin and bring down the mouse so that the apex of the corner we're working with is pointed straight down. Then we'll turn on Edit, Show Points. Now we need to add some points to this. I'm going to add a midpoint at the top. And on this leg at the bottom, we'll find the midpoint. And we'll go to the other side and find a midpoint. Now what we'll do is we'll take these 2 points on the apex on the side, and we'll use Align, Horizontal Center, and we'll move this up. We can move it up even that far. That's actually kind of fun, but we'll move it right here. The next step that we're going to do, because we're going to shape these curves and we want them to shape symmetrically, the best way to do that is to use a center rectangle and pull that rectangle out. Then move each of these points out to the end of the side of the rectangle, to one of the corners. And notice how we now have a symmetrical shape. We can then move this down, and the resulting shape that we have now is like a shield. So we can construct extrude. We'll do a distance of 2. We need to put something on this shield, and we can use any text, but we'll go ahead and put the letter S. We can make it pretty big because the object is fairly big. I'm going to make it 65. Oops. We'll make it 65. And I think we'll change from Arial. We'll come up here to, what do we have? Oh, Acme font. That one looks pretty bold and good. I'm going to say done. We're going to make this thickness 5. We really want it out there. You see done. And now we center up our S. And we'll center it on the vertical. And here we have our shield. So we could put that shield on anything. We could put any letter on there that we wanted. But it gives us a new, different shape from the polygon that we started with. One of the most useful things we can do with polygons is to create tools to use with objects that we create in the future. And one of these tools that we can use is a cutter that will help us create honeycomb patterns in objects. Let me show you what I mean. First, as a guide, we're going to create a center rectangle. And we'll make that 100 by 100. That just gives me a place to start as I draw my polygons. We're going to go to Polygon, Center Polygon, 6 sides. I'm going to click on the upper left corner of my rectangle, and I'm going to enter a value of 5, a radius of 5, down in the distance box at the bottom of the screen, and then make sure that my apex is right on the line. So we now have a hex shape that is 10 tall. We're going to go to 3-point rectangle, and that's going to give us a space. We'll calculate the space that we need. I'm going to say we'll need a space of 1.2 millimeters between each of these. This is going to be the spacing of the wall for the honeycomb pattern. And then we'll go back to our edge polygon, 6 sides, and come across. Now we need to figure out the center point of the distance down in here to help us make our grid of polygon shapes. And we do that by just selecting this object, transform, mirror, and we'll mirror this side. We can get rid of our spacing. Now this is simply to give me the center point. So I'm going to put a center circle right here. The reason I'm using a circle is so I know what to delete after we make our grid. So we have two hex shapes. We'll go ahead and name those. And we'll name them hex frames. As a matter of fact, we'll give it a 101 hex frames. There we go. We will select our hex frames, go to Transform Array. We're going to be using the grid array. We'll use 11. Oops, let me get this right. Get rid of that. 11. And we only need half of that, so we're going to say 6 here. There we go. We say done. Now what we do here is we create our X and Y spacing. I'm going to go to the center of this first hex and go down to the center of this circle. And when I do that, it's going to create this array of hex shapes that we have created right here. We can then get rid of that circle because that was only used as a reference. I'm going to also get rid of this particular rectangle, and we're going to center everything up now. Move as a group. We'll first center on the horizontal, and we'll do a vertical center. So now what we need to do is we're going to create another rectangle from the apex of this first hex shape down to the bottom apex of the last shape. And we'll go ahead and offset, construct offset. We'll use 10 because we're going to clean up these edges. All right, so we can select our hex frames because we named them ahead of time. We can select it, construct Boolean diff, and now we'll take this rectangle and this rectangle, and because we had two rectangles, look how nicely we cleaned that up. We can get rid of this. We'll select this. We will now offset that 1.2 to the outside, and we'll get rid of that inside rectangle. We're now done. So here we have our hex frames. I'm actually going to take this name here, see, and I'm going to add this rectangle to the very same name group. I'm going to extrude hex frames with the border. Extrude 10. Now the reason that we're doing 10 is because we don't know how thick we might need for our finished products where we're making a hex shape. And we're going to name this our 200 honeycomb. So this is a direct honeycomb shape. And we're going to turn off our honeycomb. And we're going to take our frames, but we're going to turn off the rectangle. And when we extrude this 10, we'll get an entirely different shape. Notice how we have now, like paving stones. We might as well name them paving stones. So 100, we'll call it honeycomb cutter. Now, you'll see why I say that. So there we have our honeycomb cutter. So we have two objects. We have this, which is the solid hex shape. We have this, which is the actual honeycomb. But now let's take another shape. We'll take this shape just like this. And we decide that we really would like to have, we'll extrude this 5. We would like to have a nice light honeycomb shape that is this ellipse. So all we have to do, we'll name this just XX for right now. We just want to have a name that we can create. So we take XX, we take our honeycomb cutter. We'll select our X shape, and then we'll say Boolean diff and select honeycomb cutter and say done. And now we'll turn off our honeycomb cutter, and there we have our honeycomb shape. All we have to do now is we have to offset to make that wall, extrude 5, Boolean union, and now we have our oval shape with the honeycomb pattern. And we can use that over and over and over again for various projects. It's very cool. This is 3D design for fun and life. 3D design courseware based on Moment of Inspiration by Tom Meeks.
All of the Polygon nouns provide the basis for some of the most elaborate and beautiful designs in Moment of Inspiration. The smallest number of sides we can define for polygons is 3. While there are practical limits to the maximum number of sides we can define, those limits have more to do with the low resolution of our 3D printers than actual limits imposed by Moment of Inspiration. Interesting designs can be as simple as using repeated extrude using the tapered option with alternating positive and negative values.